Hey everyone, we are really excited to be here with Rob from Panacea Financial. Panacea is one of our partners in the partner program here at Dentist Advisors, and we have been lucky to have them as partners for a long time and utilize their services, and our advisors enjoy utilizing them and their services and have sent a number of our clients to work with Panacea. We love that they specialize in dentistry and have a background in healthcare. Um, for those that are getting and needing loans, for those with student debt, that's something that we talk a lot about here. We trust them, and that's a big part of why we do business with them. Rob, we're glad that you're here with us and have a deck to share with us today. And I'm going to turn the time over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Spencer, and thanks for everything you do as well. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity to kind of explaining just a couple things. So obviously, not a lot of people know about Panacea Financial, right? I mean, I get that all the time. Like, what? What's the name of that company, right? And okay, quiz, Spencer, back to you. Do you know what Panacea means in Greek? I'm gonna pop
Oh,
quiz you right now. I didn't tell you this before we
no,
started recording.
I definitely don't. No, I don't.
All right. So so Panacea, and I'm going to flip to the next slide here just so you guys can kind of see who our founders are. So Dr. Palmer and Dr. Jerkins obviously were very deliberate with creating the name, being physicians. And Panacea is a Greek word for a solution or remedy for a difficult problem or disease, right? So a panacea is kind of known as a cure-all, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes when I'm at the booth and somebody who knows the word walks by, they go, "Oh, that's pretty bold. You think you're a
Yeah.
cure-all to banking, huh?" So yeah, so panacea is meant to be a solution or remedy to a difficult problem or disease. And Dr. Palmer and Dr. Jerkins are the two founders, and I like to show the slide because I'm in my mid 40s. These guys are younger than me, so this isn't like two like old rich doctors decided to start a bank. No, you have two early career doctors saw a problem with how physicians and other doctors were treated and wanted to create a remedy for it. And that became Panacea Financial a few years later after they came up with the idea. So this is Dr. Jerkins and Dr. Palmer. Again, they're two med peds physicians. And they wanted to start Panacea because they thought that there's a better way to help doctors in training. So the personal banking side of Panacea was what we launched first back in 2020. Um, and yeah, and then I'm at the Practice Solutions Group. And by the way, my name is Rob, and I live in the Twin Cities. So I've been with Panacea since 2021, and I do all the consumer lending and help with the banking. Excuse me, the commercial lending and all the commercial banking side. And then we have a whole group of people that help people with the consumer side of things. So with that in mind, I mean, the solution that Dr. Jerkins and Dr. Palmer were trying to do were to just figure out a way to give doctors a better financial institution to eliminate financial stress. Because when doctors are less stressed financially, they're, hypothetically, right? Of course, giving better care to patients becomes less stressful, right? Because they're not worried about things outside of what's in front of them, the patient in front of them. And that's the core philosophy here is try to figure out how we can help a doctor with banking and financing less stressfully so that they can focus back on their patients. All right. And kind of how we do that is again, we just kind of say common sense lending. We want to create non-paper, streamlined ways to do things with us, and don't let you guys wait around too much, and know that you have fast decisions and that you're in the hands of a capable financial institution that truly understands a doctor's needs, whether again that's on the consumer side or on the commercial side. Okay, and that's where it all started. That's the core philosophy. That's why I joined. I left a large financial institution, I'll just say, to come here. And I've been here now almost, man, it'll be 4 years later this year. And it's been wonderful. I cover that okay, Spencer? Or anything
Yeah,
you want me
so
to add to
good.
that based on what you've heard from about us?
Yeah, that's what I've heard, which is all good news and great way to kick it off here.
Great, great. Well, so there's a lot of things we do, and I encourage people to just go on our website and check it out. There's a lot more information there, of course. However, we really have two sides of the house. We have a consumer banking side, and we have a commercial lending and banking side. Again, the consumer side is what started it all. So, so Spencer, I'm gonna pop quiz you again in the
Yes.
physician and doctor world, because I didn't know this either. So if you don't know this, you're the same as me. Do you know what PRN stands for in the physician and doctor world?
PRN, public, PRN.
It's Latin. I'll give you a clue. It's Latin again, of course. It's Greek. It's one of these Greek and Latin words. PRN is what physicians and doctors write on prescriptions. As needed, pro rata nata. So the PRN personal loan. I mean, when I first saw PRN, I was like, personal refinance note. Like I was with you on the finance, right? So I was trying to figure out what PRN stood for. But no, it's an as needed personal loan, because that's what doctors write on their scripts for patients, PRN, or treatments, PRN, or whatever. I think on my physical therapy prescription it says PRN. But the personal loan is really what triggered it all. That's where they felt like doctors in training, doctors going to residency, doctors going through the match, that's a very financially stressful thing. And any doctor that needs to get a personal loan while they're still in training, every bank basically goes, hey, you're not a real doctor yet. You're not making six figures. Can you get your mom and dad or rich uncle to co-sign on that loan? Because you're not a real doctor yet. And this might be a resident, right? Where they are a doctor. Like a dentist who is going to any residency. I mean, they are a general dentist. They can practice general dentistry if they want. So yeah, the PRN personal loan was the initial product. And then they launched, of course, digital banking for doctors, checking, savings accounts. I always explain to people, think of us as the USAA bank for doctors, where we want to be a fully digital online bank going anywhere they can go in America, but it's all digital. There's just a few branches by our parent bank in Virginia, but just like USAA, there's one branch in the entire world in San Antonio, Texas, I think. That's USAA. And so you can trust us for your digital banking needs. We obviously, like you were saying in the intro, we do a lot of student loan refinance consultation. We have to be very careful, just like you guys, on giving advice on refinancing out of federal student loan programs. So we want to be an educational resource and then figure out if it's the right thing for them. We launched mortgage. So we do white coat mortgages here through our parent bank, through Primis Mortgage. That's a big opportunity to help clients become a first-time home buyer after 8 years of education, 12 years of education, depending on your residencies. And then we also launched some contract review services stuff internally with a legal professional we brought in to help doctors in training, again, maybe look at their first contract if they feel like they need a resource for that. So that's kind of everything on the consumer side of the fence. Any questions on that, Spencer?
No, that's
okay.
Well, yeah, thank you.
And then the practice side, right? So that's like, hey, we have all these doctors that are banking with us and doing these PRN loans with us. And this was the afterthought. It's like, hey, we should have an ability to help them when they want to become a practice owner. Or if you want to practice, we should be able to help them grow their practice and buy real estate or whatever. So we launched that whole side of the fence. After we launched the consumer bank side was the original launch back in 2020 and 2021. But yeah, that's kind of the product set right here. Right. And I'll get into this a little bit more on the next slide here. So just diving a little bit deeper, again, I don't want to read every single word on here, but you guys can just kind of look through this. Mortgage, white coat mortgages is a big thing. Spencer, I don't know how much you guys deal with white coat mortgage consultations, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. So I feel free to go into it. Definitely. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the theory behind a white coat mortgage is that, white coat obviously meaning physician, doctor, is that, hey, you just went through 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical, dental school, whatever, maybe residency, maybe fellowships, however many, a decade of training basically. So you might be 28 to 30 years old by the time you're ready to buy your first house, and you have saved literally zero money because you can't save money because you're spending money in education.
Mhm.
So a white coat mortgage allows a doctor specifically to be able to buy a house with no down payment, but then not be penalized by the systems in place with something called PMI, which I think PMI stands for primary mortgage insurance, which is basically, for those of you that have ever had a quote for PMI, like, hey, you're not putting any down payment on, so you then have to, on your monthly payment, add extra for the insurance to the bank in case you default, because we lent you too much money. So PMI is an insurance that a consumer pays to the bank to ensure their loan doesn't go bad if they default.
Yep.
Pretty funny, right? So to non-healthcare professionals that have been in employment for several years that haven't saved, there might be reasons behind that. That's the risk behind that. But to a medical professional who just hasn't been able to save, but they're highly educated and they come out with a six-figure salary, well, why shouldn't that person, that doctor specifically, not be able to buy a house because they're less risky?
Yep.
And that's the white coat mortgage theory. Okay.
Yep.
I hope I explained that all right. But yeah, again, and then the PRN personal loan, that goes through a little bit more. But the thing on the bottom of this that I would just highlight for anybody is that, we are here to be a fully digital online bank. And the theory is, hey, we want to give doctors and you guys too, Spencer, anybody can technically bank with us. You don't have to be a doctor to bank with us. You just have to be a doctor for our lending products.
Mm-hmm.
But like I have my kids' savings accounts are here. But we wanted to give a no strings attached high yield savings account to anybody that wants to bank with us, to where you're not, you have to put 20,000 in your bank to get this rate. You could, if you hit 50,000, then you'll get this higher rate. It's no, my kids have $500 here and they're earning 3.8% on their minor savings accounts because I didn't want to put it in my other bank. I'll just say that was earning 0.1 because it was a minor savings account for my kid. So anybody can bank with us. And the savings account was designed to, again, relieve financial stress. You don't have to worry about your tiers. Then you can just put money in somewhere that's safe and you earn a good rate of return.
Yeah. Yep. Makes perfect sense.
Yep. Yeah. So this is kind of, in a nutshell, the personal lending and personal banking side of things. Okay. That's in a nutshell. And again, I encourage people to go to our website if you want to check it out more. This is kind of all the stuff on the practice lending side in banking. So we do everything on the practice lending and banking side, whether that's starting your first practice, to acquiring your first practice, to buying into your first practice, all the way up to relocating, ground up construction, buying real estate, equipment loans. Like, I mean, again, if there's anything that a doctor who owns a practice has a need for, we should have a financial solution for them on that side of the fence too. As a financial advisor, I always like to point out the partner buy-in loan. So the minority partner buy-in loan, again, if you look at maybe a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist specifically, where they get opportunities more often than, of course, dentists, to buy into like a surgery center. Okay, so you might be offered 1%, 5% ownership of a surgery center, and it might be $500,000 or something. Okay, how does a doctor borrow $500,000 when you can't take the practice as collateral and you can't get the other partners to co-sign for you? And you're this 5-year out of school, earning money obviously, but maybe doesn't have a ton of savings yet. But how does that doctor borrow $500,000 to buy into a business? And traditional banks, well, hey, you have equity in your house, let's do a home equity line. Do you have a financial advisor, Spencer? Do they have a brokerage account? Can we liquidate some of that, or can we do a loan against their investments? Right. So we will do an unsecured minority buy-in loan to help that physician and dentist and doctor buy into a practice without really collateral. You know what I mean? There's no collateral. We're not going to take their house. We're not going to take their investments. But we will look at the practice and make sure and double check them, just like you guys are. Yep, this is a good deal. You're buying in for this much. This is going to cost you this much a month for the loan. And you'll make this much as long as the practice continues to perform. Because your distributions and your profit will offset what it costs for you to become the owner. And you'll make more than what it costs you, basically.
Yep.
So that minority partner buying product is a really neat and cool product that a lot of our competitors don't do, and that helps us fulfill the ownership dreams of doctors who are just doing a small percentage buy-in without grabbing the collateral of the practice. Yeah,
Rob, we totally agree with you on this one, especially as we see what the new young dentists are coming out of school with, from a debt perspective on school loans and initial earning potential out of the gates, let alone buying in to a practice. Minority buy-in is such a huge advantage that you guys offer.
Yep. And again, not everybody wants to own a practice 100%. Not everybody wants to start a practice from scratch 100%. Some people like being an associate, but then having a little bit of job duties, in the practice they're in. And that's why that product is there. Like I have an orthodontist who's buying 3% into an entity and for $75,000, right? That's great. You want to be a 3% owner? You feel a way that that's a way for you to increase your earnings. We're here for you. Yep. So, giving doctors an ability to be an owner, period. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, kind of the last slide here that I have just for our purposes is sorry, let me click ahead. It's just looking at the other kind of just philosophies behind what else we do for doctors, which is, and Spencer, I didn't know what ICS was. And I worked at, again, a large financial institution for 22 years before I came here. I was a teller. I was a bank manager. You can look me up on LinkedIn and you'll see where I worked. I had no idea what ICS stood for. And ICS is basically a way for a depositor to put more than $250,000 into one financial institution, basically, and still be covered under the FDIC umbrella for insurance. There's a couple banks that have this came up with over the last couple of years where a lot of people were worried about where their money was and if banks had enough to cover their deposits that they wanted to pull out. And this is where ICS kind of came up. But again, it's just a way to save our clients from having to park 250,000 here, 250,000 here, 250,000 there, and then have to manage 3 logins. And where's my money? And like we're just giving people one place to go. And so there is no caps on deposits because we can then, as part of our program for free, basically, continue to give them a high yield savings account and still give them the peace of mind knowing that they're under the FDIC protection umbrella. Okay, so that's just one thing I like to kind of, again, mention, and that's how we're different, is again, give doctors the ability to go somewhere where there's less worry and easier to work with.
Yeah.
And that's the ICS.
Perfect.
And I mean, Spencer, I mean, I've been here for 4 years, so there's a lot of other things I could probably talk about, but that's not what this is for. And I encourage people to call, email, reach out on our website. I mean, we're here to chat anytime. There's no such thing as a silly question. I don't care what people want to ask me. I'm here to help and pay it forward. So that's the overall kind of Panacea thing, and we're here to help anybody with any questions, including you and all your advisors as well. Like, always a resource to help doctors make educated financial decisions.
Yeah, so good, Rob. Thanks so much. And for everybody that is listening, Panacea, like Rob mentioned, is just an awesome resource for Q&A. you are going to utilize them at some point in your career, just depending on where you are, whether it is adding location number 2 or simply adding new chairs and expanding your existing practice. Or for those of you coming out of school, Rob is a great resource, and Panacea is a great resource for getting started. You can see how many areas that someone getting started in their first 5 years of practice can utilize Panacea, whether it's purchasing a new practice or alleviating or strategizing with debt. So good.
Yeah.
Rob, thank you so much. For one last thing I'll mention to everybody, on dentistadvisors.com, you can schedule a consultation with Panacea. We host them on our site, and we'll provide all the information to touch base with them. Rob, thanks again for your time today. Just awesome information on Panacea. Grateful to have you guys as partners.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Spencer.